Just start it over.
Want me to be the guest? I can just sit there.
You're good. Can we start?
Yeah,
Just keep it
I
running.
can cut it out.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle.morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with FC Tucker, Shelly Walters Realty Group.
So, it's the week after Thanksgiving. We're delayed today with the podcast because there's a whole car scenario that I just told them about, and I was really worked up about it yesterday. And then the people ended up being nice at the dealership, and I was frustrated because they ended up being nice, and I didn't know what to do with like my negative energy at the time. But anyways, it's
You're so sweet though.
Oh, my
Honey,
gosh.
I need a tire fix.
I know.
I'll be right there.
It was cold. It was really, really cold. I think the cold is what contributed to like me like melting
What
down.
I said, it was like 15 degrees.
It was so cold.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold.
And it's like the first day is that cold, so I was not really
Nobody's
dressed
ready
for it.
No, I'm not ready for it. I'm sure.
I had like regular socks and like tennis shoes on, like my toes are numb. Anyways, but it's like the week after Thanksgiving, and so we always talk about holidays, or we have in the past, and this holiday is really interesting. We had people reaching out to us from other agents asking like, hey, would you list on the holiday or not? And it's really interesting. So when we get into the stats, like what the actual volume was, so I listed one on Friday before Thanksgiving week, and it was sold by, I think I had it under contract like Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Tuesday. So it sold really quickly.
So it must have been a great house. Like
it was
you
an
keep
amazing
saying,
house.
Great houses will sell immediately.
I mean, I spent a
Close.
lot of time prepping it to make it perfect for market, and it did. It sold right away. But there's another side to that, right? So if you list on Wednesday, because you're probably not going to list Thursday or Friday, right? So you would list on a Wednesday. And it's interesting because I also do believe for Christmas as well that's coming up, if I have a house that I know isn't in that turnkey condition, I actually like listing on that day because I can get it in front of so many eyeballs because people have a long weekend.
They're all sitting
and
at
they're
home
on
on
their
their
phone,
computer.
avoiding Uncle Todd or whatever, you know what I mean? And so like, or their grandma or whatever's
Right.
going on. And so people are in their phones a lot, and I can run ads that target, you know, people who are looking to buy and all this other stuff and get it, and then it gets shared. Like even if you hit the right amount, it gets shared, or you have family in town, and it's like, oh, well, maybe we will buy another place or come back to move home.
Well, the other thing that happens is your family's in town,
Mhm.
that if they're in any way talking about moving to be closer to family,
Yep.
that they're all talking about it, sitting around and looking at it. So I just see that people pick up the phone and make phone calls because they're just kind of thinking about it, but that's going to be for the spring.
Yeah.
And we had people calling us over the weekend to list their house in the spring. So people are already thinking about the spring market.
They are.
You know, even if you're a buyer, you should be, if you're thinking about it, you need to watch the market. You need to get that set up, you know, like we do with the showings or showing what the houses are that are on the market. Because you really don't want to jump into the market as a buyer and say, I want to look at houses tomorrow. You have no idea what neighborhoods you like, what the prices are doing, and all of that. So the education process for buyers and sellers, we need to get the houses ready for the next 3 to 4 months, and the buyers need to be seeing what is going on. And as we keep saying, next spring, we don't know what to expect. So if you're a buyer, buy now.
Well, I mean, the media seems to know what's going to happen, but
You know,
when we talk to
sky is
people,
falling.
yeah, I know. Somebody else sent me something about it today. I haven't watched the video on it yet, but
It's getting old.
it is. So I
My
like
stats
6
don't show
months.
that.
Yeah, my stats don't show it either. When I work with a buyer, I like 6 months. 3 months is doable as well. But 6 months is really a good window to look at what's going to come on the market, right? And then we just basically, I'll get your house ready to list. And so that way, if we need to be contingent, like I can get it on the market within 7 days. I'll go ahead and get the photos and everything. But otherwise, like when people hit me up and they want to get a house like in 30 days or 45 days, like I can generally only get you the best house that's available within a 30-day window or 45-day window, right? And so it limits you to a certain extent your options for such a major decision. I mean, I get pocket listings. I know pocket listings, you do the same, blah, blah, blah. But the odds of that like hitting somebody is just kind of like one off to a certain extent, right? And so all of a sudden, you know, somebody's like, I want 4 acres, no HOA.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Well, that's
In like 45 days, you're like, what? You know,
Yeah.
like, all right,
Well,
let's go.
and
But
the buyers that I have, it's funny, we just actually pended one a couple of weeks ago, and they were in that process of next March, we'll probably wanna buy, they're
Yeah.
from out of state, but they wanted to start watching, and I told them, I said, you don't have it contingent on selling anything, don't keep your mindset of March or April, because I just really need to tell you, if that perfect house comes on the market today,
Yeah.
it may not come back around till maybe next July. We still have an inventory shortage, and they were only looking for 1 week, and that perfect house at the market, and they're like, I guess we're buying.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said, you know, I can't guarantee that this house, exactly what they wanted, would come back on the market when they're ready. So buyers need to really still be kind of open to buying when the house shows up, not when you're ready.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna always, I mean, especially those people like no HOA, 4 acre, under 200.
Right. Yeah, who doesn't want that house?
Right.
You know, with like ponies in the front yard, you know, like I would love all of
Yeah,
that,
the
you know?
unicorn one, like.
Exactly.
So the other thing too is I'm getting phone calls still, we wanna move to Carmel, we wanna move to Fishers, we wanna move to the Westfield area. And they're coming from anywhere in the United States, so people who are really trying to shop here need to understand, so are a lot of people. This place is just really becoming so well known
Yeah.
to the United States.
Well, so the one that I did sell was in a couple days to a New Jersey buyer.
Yeah,
You
I get a
know,
lot
I
of
mean,
California people,
yeah.
but that's what these people, they are coming from California. We got a phone call this weekend, they're coming in from Maryland, just because they've heard such great things about the Carmel area. So
Yeah.
they're gonna look in Carmel and Fishers. And we asked them, we're like, how did you come across this? And we're like, we've just done a lot of research. And
TikTok.
But it is amazing, so the amount of people, just you and I, are having call us
Yeah.
and say we wanna be in this location, we're just 2 agents. So people who really wanna be here, I mean, and then the conversation of we wanna be in downtown Carmel, I'm like, okay, that's even worse.
Yeah. Well, but I do think the interesting thing about it is, you know, is everybody worries about the housing market, blah, blah, blah. As it gets more expensive, it expands out for the affordability, right? And so Greenfield and Martinsville and Mooresville and Anderson
amazing.
and Plainfield, Danville, all these other places are gonna experience all this growth because just the price, quite honestly.
I had never been to Fortville to show houses until
It's
this
out my
past
neck of
year.
the woods, yeah.
I know, but now I've sold like 3 in Fortville this year,
Love
and it's
Fortville.
just, you know, Lebanon and Sheridan, I was doing those because, you know, during COVID and stuff, it seemed they went that way. But now of it, it's, you know, Pendleton and Fortville, and it just keeps going farther and farther
Mm-hmm.
out for the affordability.
Pendleton is, you know, when I started 6-7 years ago, Pendleton was just, I don't know, you almost felt like it was just out in the middle of nowhere, even though, like, I live in
I feel
McCordsville,
like it
it's
is,
not
but
that
it's
far.
not anymore.
It isn't, and it's, I mean, there's a lot of really nice, expensive homes that are going up out there, and it's a cute little, like, sleepy town, you
Well,
know?
you just shoot down 69 really
Yep.
fast, you're up to, you know, the Hamilton Town Center. So all of these places that people say they want to be in the Carmel Fishers, when sometimes they just get sticker shock, and they're like, now what?
Yeah. Then you go look at Tipton, and you're like, this is a cute town. Tipton's awesome.
31's a great highway to get
Yeah,
to and
yeah,
from
yeah,
465 very quickly.
But it's interesting. So somebody sent me something, you know, somebody's predicting a market crash, and
We
dealt
talked
with
about
it.
that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. The numbers are just really odd. So a couple things. So rates have come down here this week over the past like 10 days, right? So rates are probably the lowest they've been in a couple months. They're in the lower 7s, mid to lower 7s.
And you know what? The buyers come right back.
They do.
Like right back. And I can't imagine
do.
in February or March if they go even any lower. So buyers, you need to be buying now. We keep saying it.
Yeah, because people were saying, you know, prices are coming down, and I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. Like, I do think there are there is leverage as a buyer to get concessions and maybe a little bit under. But when I ran the numbers, so like, regardless of the stats that I'll get into, but in Noblesville, for example, like I just did sold, so actually closed in a week. So these are 30 days ago when they pinned it or whatever. But in Noblesville, from this Wednesday to last Wednesday, 12 houses closed. 8 of them were at list. And then the ones, and even Fisher's was 14 sold, and 8 of those were at list also. Most of them were like 10 off the list at max. I saw a couple that had been like days on market 177, and they were like 20, 25. I did see one that was like 70 off of list, but other than that, everything is probably within 10,000 to list of what people are getting, which is your stats are like 98%, 99%, you know, so.
Well, it's also depending, like you said, if you got 70 days on the market or 2 days on the
Yeah.
market. The ones that were listed and have the ability to be sold because they were ready to go, they were made cream of the crop, and they sell that first weekend, they're still gonna go at list.
Yep.
So that's up to you as the seller and the list agent to make that house the most presentable you can to get the maximum dollar. If you're not gonna go through that process, you're gonna have days on market, and that's when the price is gonna start to come down. So actually, it's on you to make it the most presentable you can to get the most amount of money, and if you don't, you're gonna lose money.
I think the interesting conversation too is like when you're dealing with a buyer who's dealing with that, right? So the seller, you know, you get it ready and it's ready to go. And then you have a buyer who's like, hey, I know the market is a little bit slower. Like, what if we wait? You know, what if we wait 10, 12 days, see what happens? And like, I'll support you in whatever you do. I just hate to see somebody lose a house over $10,000 just out of principle to kind of negotiate, because you could lose it. It could get into multiple offers. I mean, you could get it for 10 under, you could get it for 20 under. Like, there's a variety of situations that can happen.
Well, I just
But if you
looked
want a
at-
house, you want a house.
We looked at a house this morning. It's been on the market for about 60 days. They didn't do anything to get it ready. They're already gone. There's dirt all over the place. The carpets are like, there's just stuff. They've never vacuumed. It's dirty. They just moved out and put it on the market. It's still never gonna sell, and they've been dropping the price. Like, they've already dropped it $30,000. Just think if you just go in and vacuum
Clean
it,
it.
clean it.
Oh,
Because we went in there and the buyers and I were like, ugh,
Did you find toenails on the carpet?
I did not look. No, that's gross.
What do you do with your toenail clippings? This
Stop
is
it.
super weird. No, we're not toenail
No,
clippers.
no.
Okay, fingernail clippers.
Wait, you throw them away.
What do you
What do you do?
Do you
I can't
toilet?
imagine.
I put them
Trash can.
in trash can. You don't flush them in the toilet.
Why do I have to go? That's
I
a
put 'em
waste
under
of
my-
water.
I put them under my wife's pillow.
I can
no, just
imagine you do. I bet you do.
No, I don't. I throw them away. I throw them away. I mean, that's what I'm gonna put on public record. Is I throw them away. They get thrown away. I don't know what happens to
Well,
them.
that's just it. I walked in and the carpet was disgusting. You could just see stuff. I'm like, oh, it's just, I don't know. It's so easy to just clean.
You could spend $800 for a deep clean that maybe wouldn't have cost you $30,000.
Right,
price drops.
exactly. My maid doesn't charge that much. She's awesome. She's
Yeah, it's
like
interesting though.
$250.
People are like, oh, I don't want to spend this money. And if I could, I mean, you're just going off of my experience and your experience of like what I see happen, because I can't necessarily quantify it. It'd be so hard to quantify.
Oh, yeah.
This house wasn't clean, so it sold for this much
That we
less.
could only do it twice. Like,
Yeah.
you do the competition between each other, but you can't. I had a seller, I told them over and over again, they were clobbling over $2,000 in repairs.
Mhm.
And they got their offer full list within, the first week. And then going through the pending process and then inspection, and they were quibbling over $2,000. I told them, if you go back on the market, you're gonna lose 15 or so. They lost 20. Because if you fall
Over
over
two.
2,000.
It's hard though, because people, you start talking about money, and it's we kind of see how things play out and all this other stuff. But at the same time, it's not my money that I'm losing. I'm trying to get you everything that you can, and sometimes it's hard for I think a client, regardless of how I explain it, that like, I know this may cost you 2, but it's saving you 18. Right?
And it's hard to say that
yeah.
because I'm just going by my experience
Yeah.
of 15 years I'm just telling you, this is what I can foresee happening, and I'm probably about 98% sure it's gonna happen. But they see the $2,000, I'm not moving, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it came back on the market, and not only that, they lost, above and beyond more than I said. And you don't want to say, I told you so, but it's like, please, this is why you hired us. We know what we know and what we've had happen to us in the past. So
It's
quibbling
hard
over-
though. It's hard, especially when like we've had so much appreciation. It's like, what are we talking about? Like,
right. Well, and they had, from when they bought it 3
Yeah.
years ago.
It's
So,
just hard, like you said, it's
it's not our money.
it's not, and I want people to know I fight for every penny I can get for both a buyer and a seller. But I do have a lot of experience. Like, this is what I do, right?
Right. Right.
So same with you. So
What's your stats?
numbers. I'll do mine real quick,
Okay.
just because mine are.
Better?
Yeah, I don't know. You got more.
I have.
I feel like, yeah, you're gonna take up more time than me. So in Fishers, we had 12 go on the market. Keep in mind, this is like literally Wednesday before Thanksgiving until today, right? So 12 went on the market, 9 of them are still active. Only 3 pended within a week. 10 actually pended, which I think
10
is,
pended this weekend, yeah.
that's a
In
lot
Fishers.
for holiday weekend, right? 28 days on market, 16 median, 135 are on the market. And then in Noblesville, 13 went on the market, 12 of them are still active, which sounds horrible, right? Only one of them pended within a week, 23 total pended in the past 7 days. So way more than what went on the market. So there's 137 on the market. Their days on market is really high, but that's because there's a couple that have been sitting out there. There's a couple of like more expensive homes out there that had some pretty high days on market. That it took the average up to 54 days on market,
Wow.
and the median was 44. But I promise, you know, in 2 weeks that'll be back down to around 28, 30 once that gets filtered out of the system. So.
Well, and you talk about December 1st is coming up in a couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're into January. And to me, once January hits, it's like a whole new. So we're only got like
Oh
4
my
more
gosh.
weeks of kind of seasonal issues, and then boom, it's going to take off again.
Well, so to your seasonal point, like, don't you feel like the past 3 years, you know, spring market used to really start in April, right? And it went into last week of March, and then third week of March, and then second week of March.
Well, 21, 22, and 23.
It's kind of weird to compare
We
them.
haven't had a season.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been no season. It's just
More
Katie
stuff
Barbador.
started like in February, like just more people started calling me nonstop about what they were about to do, and it's like this is going to be a lot come spring.
It's going to be interesting. We
yeah.
don't know what to even. People say, "What do you think?" And I just have no idea.
Yeah, but we kind of do, because with the stats, and I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that piece, but to what you said earlier and like what I experienced, you know, it was kind of quiet for about 3 weeks, right? For people reaching out for like, you know, what they're doing in the next 3 and 6 months. And in the past 10 days, I've had a ton of people reach
Everybody's
out to me.
preparing
Yep.
for the spring right now.
Yep.
I mean, both buyers and sellers. So in Carmel, in the past 7 days, 19 houses hit the market over the weekend. 3 of those pended that hit the market, but a total of 8 pended. So, but 17 days on the market is the average. So actually, it's gone down in the past 7 days. And then active, there's 223 homes active right now.
So there's a lot on the market,
Yeah.
and days on market's going down.
Yeah, and days on market are going down compared to what we've looked at the past couple of weeks. Sold in the past 30 days was 98, so that's kind of lower than we've been seeing, but list to sale ratio was 98%, and average days on the market in the past 30 days was 25, so days on market are going down in November. Westfield, 20 hit the market, 2 of those pended, but a total of 21 pended this past weekend.
That's a lot.
And I really think I didn't look.
That's got to be new construction.
New construction,
Yeah.
they had a weekend off and they all went and looked at the new construction, so 21 and only 20 hit, so we had negative inventory again. But 267 are active right now. And talking of new builds, I am seeing incentives like crazy come
I
into
know.
my emails. The end of the year, they want them off their books, so new builds the way to go, it seems. Westfield, 111 are currently sold the past 30 days, 98% list to sale ratio as well. 32 days on market for the average, so going down. Zionsville, 4 hit the market. 1 of those pended, and a total of 4 pended. There's 71 active in Zionsville, and there's 36 sold in the past 30 days with a 99% list to sale ratio. Average days on market, 41, and that's it. And I want to talk real quick. We were just real quick talking. Just wanted a stat, trying to figure out when I started in 2008. We were talking about, you know, agents come and go and come and go and come and go. In 2008, the people that hit the market, became real estate agents in 2008, there's only 25% of all those agents still in the market today. So agents, the longevity of agents, people don't really understand. They really don't stick around very much. The average agent who hits the market with, their license is 2 years. And so people really need to really look when they're hiring agents to really try and figure out, you know, there's a lot of come and go every 2 years. In 2020, just 3 years ago, there's only 64% still in the market that came out in 2020. So 35% are gone since 2020.
Just in 3 years.
Yeah, so that to me is a really interesting stat.
But it's hard because I was a new agent once, not that long ago, honestly. And so, you know, there are the people who do make it and do well, and it's weird. So why do people not make it? Finances, I think, is big part of
Financial
it.
is, because they
Yeah.
don't look at it as a business when they come into it, yeah.
Yeah, I had to learn a lot as a business owner when I came into this and you know, create a S Corp and all these other things. But you got to be smart with your money, right? But like it can be discouraging if you don't have business. Like, I know that there's a lot of mindset that goes with this business, and then on top of that, it's a lot. I I work a lot. You
Right.
work a lot.
Right.
Like, I would work less at almost any other job,
Right.
quite honestly,
Yeah.
right? I just put in
You have to love
ton of
this job.
hours. Correct.
You have to love this job to have longevity, and I think because I look at it as a people business. So
It is.
it's
100%.
the amount of time we're spending doing the job is a lot, but you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, because to me, I'm just having conversations, so I never feel like I'm clocked in, right?
Right.
My wife does, but
I know.
But
Can you put your phone down?
you
No.
gotta be able to go out and work with and see no results and still not give up. Like, I think when people do succeed in this business, there's just this level of determination within those individuals that you see within them, especially, when you talk to agents who've been around for a little while and have had some success. Like, that's the common denominator. They all do it a different way. But when you can tell when you talk to them that, like, this is what they do and they love what they
Yeah.
do and they don't.
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of agents right now struggling,
Mhm.
trying to keep the business going. It's just something that's going on. But I just really was curious. So how many are still in the market? Because they do come and go. It's about every 2 years.
So, interesting thing, like, this is kind of sidebar that you brought this up now. So, have you ever had a friend or family member not use you because they knew somebody else who'd gotten into the business? Like, I've even been told, like, oh, you do well enough, I want to give somebody else
Right.
a shot. And so, like, I'm just like, whatever, that's fine, because for me, I know I'll still be here the 12 years later. And hopefully that person is, or if they aren't, you still come to me or whatever it may be. And I see a lot of agents get upset about that. And to me, like, that is like a big part of the problem with mindset. That is such a short-term view as a business owner versus a long-term view as a business owner. And literally just seeing how people react to that is an indicator, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt or I'm disappointed or whatever. But, like, I just move on because, like, I want the best for you, and sometimes the best for you
Has nothing to do with
has
us.
nothing to do with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't. I think the interesting thing is, like, I've never actually let it impact my relationship. Like, I take that as a big point of pride for me. I will never let that impact my
But
relationship.
how many times
with
do you
somebody.
get a phone call like, we're in trouble? Can you
A
help
lot,
us?
a lot.
Can
I
you
do-
help us get through this because it's not going well?
Yeah, that's a tough one to navigate.
And you always help. You always
Yeah.
say, sure I can. But anyway, so
Yeah, my brother-in-law didn't use me when I was brand new. Like, I had like a month in the business, and he sold his house. And he's like, "Hey, I listed my house." And I was like, "Hey, like, I'm an agent, remember?" But it is what it is. He's one of my biggest supporters and fans at this point, you know.
Right.
But I get it. So that's a total sidebar. We know a lot of agents listen to it, so sometimes I like to just kind of talk to agents as to, like, what makes you and I tick that gets us to where we are. So. Other than that, I think we've had some interesting stuff in the news. Don't really want to dive too much into it. I just don't want to act like we don't know what's going on. I think there's a lot of information that still has to come out. There's a big ransomware thing with a national title company, and I think, I'm worried that will impact consumer confidence. But my discussions with them is everything's going to be fine and all that stuff. I think people will be concerned about their PII, they're like personal identifying information, but
well, and
they're the
letting
national
you-
corporation. They're going to be on top of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and your team member and I are doing a deal that we were told that we can't close because of this issue. And this is where it's great to have an agent you can work with.
Yeah.
Because Jacob and I just got together, figured it out, and we are still closing on the same day at the exact same time within 1 day.
Yep.
I mean, it took us 1 day to switch, pivot, and figure it out. And that's working with an agent who we've got a common denominator here. Buyer and seller are planning on closing Thursday.
Yeah.
And we just got told we can't. Boom.
Well, there's so much that goes into that. You got moving trucks, you got utilities. There's just so much that goes into
setting
it.
up all the appointments with the
my
vendors,
gosh.
the alarm
Paint,
company,
whatever.
it's like, oh, we have to start all over? No,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
But if you've been in it, you don't freak out. You just handle it. You find a solution to it instead of sitting on the phone arguing about a problem that is at a national level, and I'm trying to argue with somebody here on a local level to get zero results.
But I can't imagine. It's been a crazy week for unfortunately the title companies that are involved, and you know, it is something that everybody here in town is working with right now and
Yep.
trying to get through it.
Yep, they'll be all right. We'll keep them closing on time. So, so I'm Kyle Morris, Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My phone number is 317-649-5122.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. My phone number is 317-201-2601. Like and subscribe and get us any comments you want and anything you might think we could talk about.
Send us questions.
Yeah,
I wanna do
and
that.
who do you think we could have as a person to interview as well? We always have fun interviewing other agents and other vendors, anybody.
Oh, I know. I've got somebody we'll talk to you about afterwards. You get them hanging out. Anyways, have a good week.